Chapter 4. No good ever came out of a lie, baby girl. Anne had cried so many tears into her father's rough shirt she didn't think she had any left. Now, you didn't make Master Richard start that fight with Joseph, and you didn't make Joseph fight him back, and you didn't make Master Charles pick up that whip, so I want you to stop this crying, you hear? He held her face, and she nodded. She went to say goodnight to Joseph. Tonight, he would share the pile of rags their parents slept on in front of the hearth downstairs, instead of climbing the ladder to sleep on the wooden floor of the loft. I guess I proved to that old Richard I'm tougher than he is, said Joseph, lying on his belly with his chin propped on his fists. Anne touched his cheek. When had her baby brother become so rock hard? You are dang tough, Joseph S. Weems, she said, but I wish you'd leave Richard alone from now on. Joseph made a face. I can manage myself with Richard and Charles and William and the whole lot of them. His words sent a chill through her. To speak of Master Charles or Master William by only their first names was an offense worth at least 20 lashes from the horsewhip. Shush, Joseph. You don't need more trouble. I am painfully sorry for this trouble I caused you, but please don't bring more on yourself. Don't worry about me, he said. He tried to turn on his side, but winced, groaned, and flopped back over on his belly. You'll feel better in the morning, she promised him. Mistress Carroll insisted that the flower beds around the tavern be kept weeded, watered, trimmed, and generally better taken care of than even the oxen. She couldn't control the mud in the front yard, but she could protect the flowers next to the house, which she believed would attract customers to the inn and tavern. Anne thought the free-flowing rum and ale, along with a hot dinner for 50 cents for a gentleman and 33 and a third cents for a gentleman's servant, was plenty to attract people to the tavern. And she thought that a long day on the red, dusty road from Annapolis or Baltimore was enough to cause anyone passing in the evening to want a place to stable their horses and livestock and stay the night. Nevertheless, the flowers, Mistress Carroll demanded, must be perfect. Sitting in the shade of the tall magnolia, Anne pulled out weeds and snipped off dead marigold blossoms. The windows to the house were closed to the midday heat, and the voices inside droned in a murmur. Suddenly, the window above her head was flung open, and she had to press herself against the wall of the house to avoid a dribble of slimy brown liquid dumped from a spittoon. The voices were instantly clear. I have no peace in my home. I must do something. That was Master Charles. You can't sell off one without the other. That was Master William's voice. If you do, they'll run, especially now with those two from up the road gone off. Then I'll sell Ellie. That would help pay the debt, and the boy is too young to run. Son, I know it would pain you to sell the boy, but the only way to make peace with your wife is to send them both away. There was a loud snap, and the window closed on their conversation. Anne sat motionless in the flower bed. Should she tell Ellie, tell her to run with Benjamin before she got sold away from him? The thought made her queasy. She didn't want to think about anyone running, especially running and getting caught, and Ellie was neither brave enough nor strong enough to run. Better to trust that Master Charles would listen to his father and sell Ellie and Benjamin together. She would miss them, but that would be best. At home that evening, Anne told her mother what she had heard. And he thinks that wife of his will be less of a witch as soon as he sends them away? Her mother scoffed. Women don't forget so easily. That man has a lifetime of anger from her to live with. She stirred the cornmeal so violently, sprinkles of it flew out of the bowl. Ellie's a good woman, and I'd hate to see her go, but if she gets away from Master Charles, she'll rest easier at night for sure. Anne pulled 2 ants out of the pile of turnip greens she just picked. What else did you hear, Anne Maria? Her mother asked. Nothing much else, just that Master Charles has some debt he has to pay. That's why he wants to sell Ellie and Benjamin. Her mother stopped stirring and looked worried. What kind of debt? Did they say if it was big? Anne shook her head. He said that the sale would help pay for it, that's all. Oh, and that 2 slaves have run off. Do you think it's anyone we know? Her mother sank onto the dinner bench and held her head in her hands. Lord, you've got to protect them, she whispered. Anne stepped behind her mother and wrapped her arms around her neck. We know them, Mama? She asked softly. It's your Aunt Mimi and Uncle Abram. Anne's throat tightened. She buried her face against her mother's neck. Mama? she said in a small voice. Yes, baby? I never got to say goodbye.